Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to Norway, and this is a brewery who I haven't reviewed in quite a long time, but the first review and the only review I've done so far from these guys has been the Norwegian Wood when I was in Australia, and it was really nice. This kind of traditional Norwegian farmhouse ale had like smoke flavours and juniper. It was absolutely lovely, so I'm really excited to try one of their other beers and see how we get on with this one. So we're going to go to Haandbryggeriet once again, who are from Drammen to the south of Oslo in Norway, and this is their Belgisk Pale Ale. It comes in at 6.5%, and as you may have guessed, it's a Belgian Pale Ale, just going by the name, but it looks very nice. It was rated at 94 on Rate Beer as well, so I'm sure it will be a very good beer. You don't get a rating like that on there if your beer isn't good, so this one should be pretty awesome. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews and the other ones I've done from Haandbryggeriet before, and there's all the usual social media, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd, so please follow me on there. If you want to see more beer reviews, just subscribe to the channel, and to my Norwegian viewers, I do apologise in advance for any bad Norwegian pronunciations. I'm still getting used to Swedish, of course, since I moved here to Lund, so Norwegian will take a little bit longer, but please do let me know some other Norwegian beers and breweries that you'd like me to have a look at. I've done a couple of Norwegian reviews, so go and check out the channel page for those. But anyway, to tell you about Haandbryggeriet, so as I mentioned before, this brewery is from the town of Drammen, which is to the southwest of Oslo, and the town's located in the Buskerud county, and it has a population of 63,000. But the city actually started off as 3 separate seaport towns, which were eventually merged together to form Drammen in 1811. But the unique location of the town made it a big centre for timber and for shipbuilding, so these are the old industries of the town. But Haandbryggeriet was founded back in 2005 by Jens Marble, Rune Eriksson, Arne Eide and also Egil Hilde, and their original premises was an old textile factory which was built back in 1874, and this was in a housing estate not far from the Ass Brewery, but now they have a new property in an old train rail yard. Their brew kit apparently was brought from England, and it has a capacity of about 9,000 litres per batch, but in 2006 their production was 40,000 litres, but by 2012 they'd expanded this to 350,000 litres using a new 1800 litre apparatus. But their beers are quite widely available domestically in Norway, as you may have guessed, with their I think it's Vino Monopoly they call it up there, but they're particularly exported to the USA as well. And as I mentioned, I got their Norwegian Wood beer when I was over in Australia, and I've seen these ones in Scotland before as well actually, and I bought this one through Systembolaget here in Sweden. But the company also import a number of beers to Norway as part of their distribution business as well, so these guys have some really quite interesting operations. They do make quite a lot of money out of their deal with Vino Monopoly, and this is one of the things actually you'll find. Norwegian beer tends to be really quite expensive, the same with Finland actually, but the stuff that they produce is pretty damn awesome, probably worth paying the price for actually. But these guys produce quite an extensive range of beers, and if you're interested to see those, just go and have a look at the brewery website and you'll get an idea. I think they've got something maybe 15 or 20 different beers on there, but go and have a look and you can find out for yourself. You can also look at the Untappd profile or the Rate Beer profile for these guys too, but nonetheless a very, very highly regarded Norwegian brewery. So without further ado then, let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer. As I mentioned, this one is a Belgian Pale Ale. It comes in at 6.5%. On the side here it says a pale and very refreshing Belgian ale, hopped and dry hopped with in the US style, bitter and fruity. We produce living beer, not pasteurised or filtered, and it recommends that you serve this between 6 and 8 degrees. And it's been out the fridge for maybe about 10 minutes or so, so I would guess it probably is up about the 6 or 7 degree mark. It's just nice and chilled actually. So I'll just let you have a look at the artwork on this one. We'll bring up the camera here and make sure you're seeing that. Now, as you can see, it's quite nicely presented actually. You can see the Belgian flag there. There's the kind of fingerprints that are the trademark of Haandbryggeriet, and you can see the nice hop flowers there just behind the yellow and the red part of the Belgian flag. The bottle cap for this one is quite cool as well. You can see the sort of handprint on the top there, but very nicely presented. It has it's imported by Beer Enthusiast AB, so they are actually importing into Sweden, these guys, rather than just shipping them. I guess that's because Norway isn't part of the EU, but I'm not certain about that. But let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting then. Should be very nice. So, as you can see, a nice, quite smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass. You can actually smell some of these nice American hops actually on this one as you're pouring it out. We'll leave it at that for the moment, and we can always add more to it a bit later on. But yeah, as you can see, this beer has poured a really nice orangey amber colour. If I put it up to the light, there's actually quite a lot of little sediment particles floating around there. As they say, their beer is bottle conditioned, so you would expect that. There's a lot of little tiny particles just floating around in this one. That of course is quite common with Belgian beer too, but you can see there's a nice finger of a frothy white head there. It's actually, that's one of the best heads I've ever seen on a beer, if I'm honest. But there's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. It looks very nice, so let's check out the aroma on this one. Now that's quite interesting. Without sugaring it up, you get a kind of big bready yeasty character. Of course, that's the Belgian character of the beer coming out, but there is a kind of underlying almost peachy fruitiness to this beer just without sugaring it up. It's quite a kind of... The yeast is actually quite sweet in this one. The big bready doughy character is quite sweet, but there's almost a little bit of a slightly coriander note to it. Maybe just a little bit peppery as well, or maybe even wheaty. There's a very interesting kind of spicy character to this beer. It doesn't say on the website, incidentally, what malts and things they put in their beers, otherwise I would have included that in the video. I always like it when breweries include that information in the video, because you can always start to pick up things on the hops. It's a good way to learn when you're doing beer tastings actually, but it smells really nice. The hoppy aspect of the beer, as I was saying, there is a bit of a peachy character in there. I wonder if there's maybe citra hops in here, because it comes across as being quite juicy and quite complex with a little bit of tropical note, and the citra hop of course is the one that is very good for giving you those type of characteristics. It smells really nice, but there's a bit of grassy hop and some kind of floral aromaticity, maybe even a bit of herbal and sort of vegetal character coming out of this beer. A little bit of citrus too, but I'd say more of a kind of juicy tropical note with this one. I think there's some citra hop in there, but you can, when you sugar it up a bit more, you start to get the more kind of floral and grassy notes, and the herbal character really starts to come out as well. Maybe even just a little touch earthy, but I think more of a herbal character. So as you should always do, especially if you're trying the Norwegian wood for example, these guys have some really quite complex aromas. They're not the most pungent from what I remember, the Norwegian wood, but when you sugar the beers up you start to get a lot of nice aromas out of their beers. So if you try a Haandbryggeriet beer, do take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma. But let's get stuck into this beer now. So this is the Belgisk Pale Ale from Haandbryggeriet in Drammen in Norway, just to the south of Oslo. Skål! Now that is quite a nice beer, I have to admit. Straight up, this is a very nice, quite sessionable beer. So as I always say with these kind of beers, sugar them around your palate a bit and let your whole mouth adjust to the flavours that are coming out of this. This is very nicely done. The hops really start to come out when you move into the aftertaste of this one. It comes across as being quite a malty forward beer, but then once the aftertaste starts to kick in, that's when you're getting these US hops coming out. You've just got this kind of dark floral aromatic character and some of the kind of tropical fruits just sitting there. There's a nice almost resinous character to this beer in the aftertaste. Yeah, that's really nicely done. The other thing that you can taste with this beer that you'll notice is the quality of the water. The water in this beer is very smooth. Some beer reviewers say, oh, water doesn't make a difference, but I personally believe it does, and that's just from my experience of trying beers from all over the world. I mean, in Scotland, for example, you can taste, we have quite hard water, we've got a lot of minerals in our water, and it really does give Scottish beer quite a distinct taste, and you can get the same with Norway. And in Iceland, of course, Iceland was a very good example of that because of the volcanic water that goes into their beers. You can taste a little bit of the mineral character in this beer as well. The water that they're using obviously is very, very good quality. But yeah, to the actual flavour of the beer. So the middle of your palate is blanketed with this almost pale malt character. It just goes right across the middle of the tongue, and there's a bit more body to it as well. There's those nice heavier kind of yeasty and bready characters. It's really quite nicely done. There's a good sweetness in there as well, some biscuity character, but also some of the richer caramel. But it's the mouthfeel is really quite different. I don't know if that's the water that's doing that, but the caramel flavour is it's almost like it's infused into the bready character. That's where the sweetness is coming from. You don't have this really quite syrupy feel from the caramel, so it's quite interesting in that regard and quite quirky. Yeah, that's a really nice beer. You'll just feel the middle of your palate gets quite wet, and you'll feel the caramel sweetness just start to come out as the beer pushes away towards the aftertaste. But the hop characters, they actually come across as very bitter at the start, but then they smooth out and they're just quite nice and wet. The mouthfeel of this beer is actually quite wet in the middle, I would say, but then around the edge you have a little bit of dry character from the hoppiness. There's a good balance in here. That spicy character I was picking up from the yeast doesn't actually come out too much in the flavour, I would say. It's more, you can get a little bit of it at the back of the tongue towards the back corners. There's maybe just a tiny little bit of peppery character. There's not coriander in there. I was picking that up in the aroma a little bit, but it's definitely not coriander. Maybe just a little bit of wheat malt or something like that. But overall, it's actually very, very nicely done, this one. The flavours all blend together really well. Maybe in the back corner of the palate there's just a little touch of earthiness, but overall the edge of the palate in this beer, where the hoppy characters come out, it's quite floral, it's quite aromatic, and there's maybe just a little bit of herbal or resinous character kind of underpinning that. It's very, very nice. But in terms of the fruity character in this one, there's a little bit of citrus in there, but there's tropical fruit as well. Yeah, the fruity character is quite juicy. I would say it's actually quite an orangey feel that's coming out of this beer actually. But there is some of the more juicy tropical fruits too. I wonder if they've used Amarillo in this one as well. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of an orangey citrus character to this one. But I want to say, there is a little bit of a peachy flavour in there. It's very mild. The orangey citrus is the one that's really pushing to the fore in this beer. But there is a little bit of those more juicy tropical fruits coming out of this beer, but they are fairly subtle, I would say. Yeah, definitely for me it does lean more towards an orangey citrus, but there is a little bit of a juicy tropical fruit note in there. I can't quite put my finger on exactly what fruit it is, but I'm leaning more towards kind of peaches, maybe even just a little tiny bit of mango. It's quite juicy. It's not pungent in the same way that passion fruit or grapefruit would be. But overall, you know, this is a very, very good beer. I can see why it's rated at 94. It's one of these beers where the flavours all blend together very well. If you try this beer and you enjoy your Belgian ales, you're not going to be disappointed. It gives you a good bit of that US hop as well. So it's almost, if you're mainly into American beer but you want to try a Belgian beer, the sort of old school Belgian styles and things, you will enjoy this beer. It's very, very nicely done. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say this is mid-bodied, almost definitely mid-bodied. The carbonation in it is very, very smooth. There's a little bit of an oily character. Overall though, it has a very, very good balance between the hops and the malts in this one. There's a good bit of malty sweetness there. A little bit of dryness as well, just from the slightly spicy character at the back of the tongue. The hoppy characters are nice and dry though. That dryness just builds a little bit as you move into the aftertaste, but there's a good oily and quite fruity character from this beer, but it's very, very nicely done. This one gets a huge thumbs up from me on the review. It's such a nice beer, this. You have to try this one. As I say, I would recommend this to people who like the American sort of West Coast style beers, the quite hoppy ones, but people that want to try more of the Belgian ales. It's probably good for people that like a very good balance in their beers, because it is that, and the mineral flavours that you get in the water of this beer make it very unique as well. So overall, a huge thumbs up again to Haandbryggeriet on this one. So if you get the chance, go and try the Belgisk Pale Ale from Haandbryggeriet in Drammen in Norway. A really superb beer, and hopefully I can find some more other things to review for you in the near future. I'll have a look on System Blogget and see what other ones I can get from these guys, but these guys produce some really awesome stuff. If you want something truly Norwegian and quite unique, I would recommend the Norwegian Wood from them. It's very, very good, and I love smoked beer, so if you love them, go and try that beer, and as I say, quite unique to Norway. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. As always, if you have tried it yourself, please let me know in the comments section below your own thoughts on it. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. Thank you once again for watching. Until the next review, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media things. To those of you watching in Norway, please do let me know some other beers and breweries you'd like me to review. I'd love to review some more Norwegian beer. It's just a little bit hard to get, so please do get in touch and let me know. But I thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you soon with my next beer review. Hopefully there's many more to come from Norway. Slange just now, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.